We're live. Hi, Dr. Nicole.
Hello, Sandra. كيفك?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. كيف الطقس اليوم بلبنان؟
مش كتير منيح. بنغير كل شيء. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Always happy to be here.
نيكول قبل ما تبلشي تعرفينا عن حالك لأنه في ناس جداد معنا. I want to tell you إنه the choice of the topic is really bold. So هيك and we didn't expect that many attendees and people who are interested. يعني هيدا موضوع كتير هلا it's the day-to-day life خصوصي of the Gen Z, the latest generation وحتى الجنريشنز اللي أكبر. صرنا أكتر وأكتر we rely on apps to be able to meet people. فهيك we want your comments. نحكي شوي بالchallenges. How do we navigate this new way of forming bonds? هل عن جد في intimacy ولا لا؟ يعني we had users commenting. نحن we posted today إنه is this artificial intimacy, yes or no? So we had the users commenting and people commenting. Can you really form a bond with somebody that you don't know through an app? And then يعني how does this journey go on, and what's the challenges of dating in our modern age. فحابين نسمع منك كل هيك as a psychologist and a mental health expert. نحكي أكتر عن الجيرنيز يلي we go through when we're dating. I'll just explain to our audience what will happen tonight, and then I'll leave the floor to you. رح نسألك كتير. It's going to be interactive. وهيك كمان تعطينا بريف عنك وعن your career path to date. So we're going to be spending an hour and a half with you. Half of it is going to be a discussion, and then here where we're going live in the round table, and then we're going to create a safe space. A virtual room will guide people how to move along with us, where they can interact with us live and talk to us, talk to you, ask you, share maybe their stories. بيطلع على الكاميرا or not, or microphone, up to them. And they can ask you their questions anonymously also. So that's the Sira experience. ونحن قد يعني this part, the interactive part, we don't record it. We just record the discussion يلي هلأ رح تصير. عنا تقريبا 45 to 50 minutes of discussion أنا وياكي. And this recording will be replayed on YouTube كمان. Tomorrow we post it on YouTube. People can interact with us now through questions. So please قدامكم على الapp, you can ask us questions. You have a Q&A, you can ask questions and you can ask anonymously. So هلا انتم ما بتقشعوا، نحن ما بنقشعكم، انتم بس تقشعونا وبتسمعونا. وفيكم تتواصلوا معنا من خلال ال Q&A. And please ask anonymously إذا ما بدكم تبين هويتكم. تما نعرف مين انتو. And we'll answer your questions. بعدين بننقل سوا على ال virtual room وين ما بنسجل and we interact live معكم. كمان ما فينا نقشعكم ونسمعكم إلا إذا انتو بدكم. وقتا نوصل رح نقلكم كيف ونرجع نذكركم بالطريقة يلي بتنقلوا معنا. That's all from my side. أنا بس كمان بحب ذاكر الناس إنه every night on Sira on the app we have experts, one-on-ones, private that you can see privately. Mental health experts. التنين عنا psychologists. ثلاثة عنا sexual health educator. الأربعة عنا life coaches. والخميس عنا child psychologist و psychomotor therapist. So بنهتم أكثر بالولاد يعني بتربية الولاد. So please don't hesitate to just, without booking, just go in and talk to them. They're there to support you. That's all from my side. Nicole, introduce yourself, please, to the newcomers on Sira, to the new members of our community, and let's kick off with our subject for tonight. We're eager to listen to you.
أكيد. Thank you, Sandra, for the introduction, and welcome to everyone that's here today. Old joiners بحب سميهم، أو إذا بدك هيك خلص our usual group of people, and أكيد للnewcomers, welcome. إن شاء الله تستفيدوا اليوم يعني بالحلقة اللي يعني رح نحكي فيها. أكيد التوبيك يعني مثل ما قلتي ساندرا, it's very interesting because بهيدا العصر يعني عم نلاقي إنه dating has become quite the challenge. It always has been. It comes with its complexities. بس كمان هلا صار في إذا بدك added layers that make dating quite challenging for many people. And so hopefully today we can touch on the different things that make it challenging and what we can do about it. يعني من الاشياء اللي نحن قلنا كمان we're going to discuss هي ghosting, which is a new term. إذا بديك صار هيدا الترم نستخدمه to refer to لما شخص suddenly هيك يختفي، ما بقى بيحكينا بلا ما يعطي السبب. So رح نحكي شوي أكتر عن ghosting وأسباب الghosting وشو نعمل in that case. Talk about the new way of dating اللي هو كمان connecting online has become one of the most popular ways to connect with a potential partner إذا بديك. Towards the end فينا نحكي عن tips on how to navigate all of this stuff. أنا هالمرة مش محضرة PowerPoint. إجمالا أنا بيكون عندي PowerPoint and I kind of go through that، بس حبيت هيك تكون شوي informal اليوم.
So مانك بحاجة we're gonna bombard you with questions لأنه it's really something new, a new way of connecting with others. So we want to hear your thoughts on it.
That was sort of my expectation. يعني قلت إنه بركي في عالم already are going to come here with questions, so we can keep it more of a Q&A style. But anyhow, a little bit about me for the people that have just joined us. So I'm a clinical psychologist, or my areas of specialty هن anxiety, trauma, relationships, and grief and loss. I'm based in the US. كمان بقدم خدمات online, so I provide online consultations. إذا بتحبوا تعرفوا أكثر عني, you can visit my website اللي هو www.meadowspath.com. أو كمان إذا بتحبوا تراسلوني, you can do so by sending an email to info@meadowspath.com. So without further ado, maybe now would be a good time to jump into the topic. لأنه بحس already هيك عطيت الانترو وحكيت شوي عن سيرة. إذا حدا عنده أسئلة أكيد عن سيرة والبلاتفورم, at any time, reach out to Sandra. She's the founder. She knows it all. So I'm sure she can be of help. بس نحكي أكتر اليوم عن أول شيء dating بشكل عام. So let me start by saying إنه الديتينج هلأ صار أصعب بكتير من ما كان من 10 سنين. ويمكن هيدا الشيء يفاجئ some people إنه how is it easier؟ ما صار عنا كذا طريقة نتواصل مع عالم، إنه new tools, new ways of connecting. But in fact, it has gotten much harder for many reasons. واحدة من الأسباب اللي فينا نفكر فيها إنه أيام زمان it was easy for, let's say, parents to get involved. ويقولوا إنه في فلان ابن الجيران ابن كذا معلم مخرج من هالجامعة مهندس حكيم whatever. They sell this perfect portfolio إذا بدك عن الشخص. Exactly. So بيتدخلوا, and a lot of people 20-30 years ago or more, the idea of dating was primarily for marriage. Okay, so كان هيدا شيء رئيسي عند العالم إنه okay, we are going to get to know each other for the purpose of finding a suitable partner to get married. Nowadays عم نلاقي إنه there are many different reasons why people would want to date. مش بالضرورة إنه بدهم يتجوزوا، بركي they are wanting to fill up their time. They have some free time on their hands. They want something more casual. هلا كمان رح نحكي فيه شوي أكتر بعدين، بس إنه صار في شيء مثل hook up culture, etc. So there are many different reasons why people date these days that كمان can slightly complicate matters. So قبل كان الجول إذا بدك was very defined وكان ما عنا كتير خيار. So it was usually 1 or 2 or 3 options إذا بدك. So sometimes limited options كمان بيخلي الواحد يختار بسهولة. كترة options, which is what we call إذا بدك paradox of choice, هي بتسبب لنا دايلما. So إذا أنا اليوم عندي سامسونج، نوكيا، إريكسون، whatever كل هالتليفونات, I might not know what to choose from because of all of the variety. بينما إذا أنا بخير شخص from 2 choices, it sort of makes it easier. Again, just another reason of the various complexities of dating and why it's much harder than it is today. كمان شغلة إنه الأشياء اللي بنشوفها نحن على الموفيز والسوشيال ميديا كمان هيدا it hypes us up to imagine what the dating world is gonna look like for us, which is very far from reality. كتير بنحضر أشياء على التي في بتبين لنا إنه الغرام شيء معين والشكل شيء معين, so they really put it on a هيك pedestal, and this adds more pressure for people to find this perfect partner, or discourages us كمان إذا ما بنلاقي شيء close to هيدا الإيمج. So just a few things that I'm sure have already passed through some people's minds, بس عم بحب اذكرهم هلا بس لأكد للعالم إنه الديتينج ستوري تغيرت لإلنا. كمان أيام زمان the idea of online dating was kind of a last resort. So كانوا يفضلوا العالم إنه يتعرفوا على بعض through again family, friend of a friend بهالطريقة. وكان دايما هالidea of online dating إنه أوكي إذا سكرت بوجهنا وما بقى عم تزبط معنا بنفكر بالonline dating. هلا it's changed drastically ساندرا. هلا عم نلاقي إنه في قبولية أكتر لهيدا الموضوع عند العالم. And كمان كتير في دراسات بيّنت إنه up to 40 to 50% have met their partner through some online website or application of some sort. So again, just showing us إنه هيدا الشيء has become more normalized, you know, which is أكيد مش a surprise, بس عم أكد على هالأشياء. So
And
what are some of
become more creative. يعني صرنا نشوف إنه matching algorithms عم بيصيروا يمكن أحسن. عم نشوف مثلا في dating apps where they attract women هن to initiate. يعني في إشياء إذا في tricks أو إشياء هيك بالhuman psychology. يعني هون حابين نسمع مني كمان إنه how attractive are these and they match human behavior. يعني we have to both swipe and then match and then يعني فيها هيك مثل ما قلت many options and it's like choosing from a menu. فيها الإحساس إنه we have so many options and we're gonna come across somebody that really matches our profile and who we are. فيها
صح. On the one hand ما عم بتقولي عم بحسنوا dating apps the way that these algorithms work because they want to cater to what people want and need. So مثل ما قلتي يعني to keep it maybe more safe on some apps they've come up with this idea of women initiate the conversation with the partner and then they can, you know, match, exchange messages, etc. بس اللي عم نلاقيه إنه primarily what is the first thing that attracts people or makes them swipe left or right or whatever it is? It's physical attraction. It, you know, 80 to 90% will swipe based on physical attraction, which is not a good thing or a bad thing. You know, we're not judging that. We're just stating, you know, how it works, how we are drawn to these things. بس أكيد نحن بنعرف إنه بيهمنا الemotional intimacy غير بس physical attraction. So this is why كمان مثل ما قلت فيها الالجوريثمز عم بيجربوا يحسنوا بالبروفايل so that we can see do we truly match with this person in terms of values, you know, life goals, career goals, whatever it is. لأنه هول أشياء كمان مهمة إذا خصوصاً عم نفكر لللونج تيرم. بس برجع بعيد مش الكل بيفوت على هول الديتينج apps thinking they want to find their one and only love يعني for the rest of their life. You know, some people are there because they want a casual dating experience. هلا كمان في شوية ريسكس لازم نحكي فيهم involved بالديتينج apps. مثلاً في شيء اسمه catfishing. Catfishing هو لما شخص بيطلع online بيحط صورة معينة, okay, and they claim to be this person. Usually it's an image of someone super attractive, kind of يعني مثل شبه a model, great body, great this, amazing profile, etc. But of course behind the image is someone that's a fake, you know, like a con artist. ففي أشخاص you know بيستخدموا هول tools in a very you know, very harmful way. It's kind of like بيصطادوا عالم. That's the idea of catfishing. They lure in people, and once you're hooked and you form an attachment with them, at some point the catfish may or may not reveal their true identity, and it can cause, as you can imagine, so many issues, you know, from manipulating a person's feelings and being controlling, and عم نعيش الواحد an unrealistic world. So هيدي الشغلة that comes as one of the main safety concerns with dating. And في شغلة impersonal experience. أنا كنت عم تقولي earlier إنه is it artificial? Is it impersonal? It can be when sometimes things remain على level سطحي. إذا نحن we are just exchanging a few words without really getting to know each other on a deeper, closer emotional level, it can always feel, sort of artificial, كأنه we're not tapping into who the person truly is at their core. And that's why بدنا نحكي بعد شوي how it's important إذا عملنا connection online نرجع ننقل هيدي الconnection تصير face to face if possible, because we always collect more data in person.
نيكول هون مثلا كمان being online and having this distance sometimes can take things to a deeper level very quickly لأنه في حاجز. يمكن إذا in person نستحي نفتح مواضيع معينة أو to be direct أو نسأل أسئلة يمكن مرات هيك منأجلها تنتعرف على بعض أكتر. إذا كنا online بالبدايات sometimes we can be very straightforward and go straight to the topic. Can this be an advantage?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. إنه في courage اللي إذا بدك تطلع لنا لما نكون نحن ورا الشاشة، الشخص ما عم بيشوفنا، ما في eye contact، فشوي anxiety feels under control. So يمكن نحن نتشجع نحكي عن أشياء أو نسأل أسئلة عادة ما كنا عملناها إذا كنا in person. So again, there are so many advantages to the online dating and platforms. بس نحن كنا عم ندور على الأشياء اللي ممكن تكون بتأذينا. That's important for us to keep in mind. هلا كمان الأونلاين ماتش ميكينج يعني مثل ما كنت عم بحكي قبل إنه فيها البارادوكس of choice. الأونلاين ماتش ميكينج شوي بيعطينا هالإلوجن إنه نحن فينا نختار يلي بدنا إياه و we have everyone at our disposal, when in reality it doesn't work that way. And it's important to know that dating, whether it started online or in person, but dating بشكل عام comes with the element of risk of rejection. When we decide, okay, I'm going to put myself out there and start seeing people, لازم نحن نكون واعيين على the fact إنه rejection is part of how it works. We're not going to always match with that first person we connect with. We might have our differences, it might not work. فلازم نكون نحن مستعدين كمان to accept إنه مش دايما من أول مرة بتزبط to our إذا بدك imagination or liking. كتير في عالم بتهيأ لهم إنه okay, from the first or second time they're gonna find this perfect person. It doesn't always happen that way. And again, يعني going through a catalog of things makes it really difficult to decide.
هون كمان نيكول السؤال لك إنه لأنه براسنا عنا دايما هالoptionality, whether we are in a relationship or not. Is it changing the way we're committed to relationships? يعني هل عم تلاقي أكتر مع young in this age and time عم بيكونوا أقل committed to their relationships لأنه if I don't like something or ما بعطيها يمكن كتير وقت للrelationship to experiment, I can directly go back to my dating app or try again and then find somebody else. Do you see this kind of behavior or not?
We do actually see that kind of behavior quite a bit, because the fact إنه we connect online مثل ما قلنا فيها البارير إذا بدك of being truly seen. So when we decide we want to exit a relationship, some people are finding it easier to do that. So after exchanging a few words, إذا حسوا ما كان في هالconnection ممكن يكون في the ghosting, So خلينا نحكي عن ghosting. Ghosting means لما suddenly الشخص disappears, vanishes like a ghost, without any trace, without providing any reason, and just cuts all communication. So خلينا نفترض إنه في two people عم يحكوا مع بعض, they're getting to know each other, and then فجأة one person starts ringing or messaging the other person and gets no reply. أكيد الشخص is gonna feel confused, to say the least, and is gonna maybe even blame themselves. Did I say anything wrong? Did I trigger this person? كتير هين لنا نحن to point the fingers at ourselves. But as we're gonna learn, إنه actually ghosting بيقلنا أكتر عن the person's shortcomings than it does about ourselves. So ليه ghosting بيصير ساندرا؟ Ghosting عادة بيصير لأنه في some people they fear confrontation. They fear being honest and vulnerable. So instead of saying, hey, I don't feel like I'm connected with you, in a romantic way. I'd rather that we just be friends. Are you okay with that? Instead of doing all of that, they decide, let me just بلاها كل هالشغلة, let me exit the situation, and so they leave. So there's a fear of confrontation, a fear of conflict. منخاف إنه by saying this حنرجع نفتح بواب ويكون في exchange of words. They want to avoid all that. يمكن كمان الشخص اللي عم بيتواصلوا معه ما بيحسوا إنه كان في هالconnection, هالchemistry, هالspark اللي عم بينبشوا عليها, so they decide to flee the situation. بركي حسوا إنه the person is clingy or needy for some reason. بركي هن كمان they found a new love interest, which happens كمان يعني on a dating app. You're swiping left and right, you're gonna get connections here and there. So you're gonna maybe compare and say, okay, لا, I feel better connected to this person, so I'm gonna block that other person that I was talking to, which is painful. It's painful because للأسف الghosting is normalized هلأ ساندرا. كمان في دراسة طلعت ب 2019 فرجت إنه تقريبا 50% of the volunteers بالstudy هن themselves, they have ghosted others and they have been ghosted. So again بتفرجينا هيدي الشغلة of how much it's become normalized for people to walk away. عادة we see this happening in early phases of a relationship. So once they've sort of initially made a connection, or within 1 or 2 dates. After those first 2 dates, if the person didn't feel that spark or chemistry or other reasons, they can ghost. إذا منلاقي الghosting صارت بعد فترة أطول بتبين لنا more deeper issues مثل fear of commitment, fear of intimacy, بركي avoidant attachment style, بركي شخص who's feeling very overwhelmed بحياته. Maybe this is a person that's still going or dealing with a past relationship. So the longer the connection has been made with the person and then the ghosting happens at a later stage, the more it tells us كمان عن الشخص يعني اللي who ghosted. كمان
sorry, ليه برأيك زاد هيدا التصرف هلا؟ يعني did we always ghost بس ما كان له اسم وهلا it's becoming it's named and labeled, or there's يعني في اشياء عم بتسهلنا انه نحن to avoid this kind of confrontation مثل ما كنت عم تقولي.
Yeah, that's a great question, Sandra. I think ghosting always existed. بركي هلا صار عنا ليبل لها وعم نشوفها بكثرة أكثر من وراء الديتينج apps. So في positive وفي negative للdating apps. إنه being able to hide behind the screen, not being seen, that can be a way for people to get by with these things أكثر إذا بدك. So I believe this is why يعني عم نشوف أكتر هيدا behavior. كنا عم نحكي عن dating, how this ghosting behavior is popular. صار في غير terms إذا بدك to explain people's sudden disappearance. ما بعرف ليه كلهم they're related to Halloween. they're all related to scary stuff. بس غير ghosting في شيء اسمه caspering. So caspering مثل Casper the friendly ghost.
تفسري لنا caspering. عندك comments إذا
يلا قبل ما نحكي.
So عندك we have somebody saying, I learned with experience that ghosting eventually is for our own good. Better now than later. Is it true? And how do we deal with it if it happens?
Yeah, okay, great. Let's talk about that now since the question was raised. So مثل ما كنت عم بقول إنه الghosting بيقلنا أكتر عن الشخص who did the ghosting than it says about us. So if a person is ghosting, it tells us إنه هن they lack responsibility to own up to their decisions, right? They're not effective communicators. بدل ما يقولوا لنا straight up, this is how I feel, very casually, it doesn't have to be a drama. They've decided to, avoid that. So we're learning more about them. They have disregard for other people's feelings or a lack of empathy. وهول red flags. So let's really think about that, Sandra. Does anyone want to be with someone that has these qualities? Probably not, right? So I love how this person reframed that situation to say, أحسن لي اتأذى هلا أو انجرح هلا من ما على المدى الطويل هيدا الشخص one day decides to just pack up and leave, you know, after I've built an even stronger and closer attachment to that person. So that's actually one way that I was going to talk about later on for us to deal with ghosting is reframing. Essentially, what this person is doing is reframing to see how this situation is لمصلحتهم, and best that it happened now and not later. But yes, it does hurt. You know, that's the truth. Ghosting sucks. Unfortunately, it happens and it hurts. So caspering, okay, is a level easier إذا بدي. So الفرق بين ghosting و caspering. Caspering استعملوا هيدي الكلمة من ورا Casper the friendly ghost. And caspering is when the person بيعطيك السبب and then disappears, you know, doesn't give you the whole picture, but says something هيك very briefly and then blocks and deletes, kind of a thing. So that's another thing that happens. And then last but not least كمان في شيء اسمه zombieing. Zombieing مثل كمان the name suggests إنه the person is revived from the death. فجأة شخص who had ghosted you decides, oh, let me just message this person 2 or 3 months later, expecting there to be, you know, a reply of some sort or a connection, which أكيد is very frustrating. You know, I'm smiling and or giggling about these things, Sandra, but I'm not trying to make light of them. I'm giggling because of the terminology. إنه it's funny عم نستخدم هالكلمات. But you know, a lot of people have been there. I've personally been there. I've been ghosted. I've been Caspered. I've been zombied, and it's frustrating. You know, it's frustrating when these things happen to us. وما عنا reasons, and we're left to our own imagination to come up with the narrative. ومثل ما قلت لك هون للأسف عادة خيالنا بياخدنا to, oh, maybe it's me, but it's never really us. It's more about the person. It's more about the person. So any other questions or comments?
Hey, Anna comments, I'm on Bumble and feel frustrated when I don't match with anyone. So how do we deal with this frustration when مثل ما قلت يعني we construct our own narrative, هل we are not good enough to be matched?
Yeah. You know, I think, again, when we decide to put ourselves out there in the dating world, we need to be prepared for its ups and downs. The matchmaking process takes time. People, again, are swiping left and right for their different criteria. ما بنعرف نحن شو intention of the other person. But for the person who's not matching, you know, I would say take matters into your own hands and try to find other ways also to connect with other people. You know, بدي أحكي عن tips more towards the end, Sandra, بس واحدة من الأشياء that could potentially open doors for us إذا بدك to connect or find someone is doing things that we enjoy. You know, إذا أنا I sign up, you know, thankfully هلا عم نعيش post the critical pandemic days والحياة somewhat رجعت to what's normal. So if I sign up to, let's say, a Zumba class because I love Zumba, you know, going to that activity بيخلق لي مجال إنه أنا أتعرف على شخص بيشبهني عنده similar interests. I form a connection. So for that person, I would suggest to expand their ways of connecting with others, right? And also to be clear about what their intentions are. We don't know what other people's intentions are on the app, but for them, at least they can own up to it and say, you know, I'm here to meet someone and hopefully be in a committed long-term relationship, or I'm here just looking for a casual dating experience, whatever that might be. I think we need to be clear about our intentions. You know, actually just saying that, تذكرت إنه when I was doing a bit of research for this topic, I was looking at the definition of dating. The definition of dating, Sandra, كتير بيختلف from person to person. You know, some people see dating as a way where two people connect just to casually get to know each other. Other definitions talk about dating for the purposes of finding a spouse, you know, so it's interesting to think about what does dating mean for person A and person B, and having open conversations about that is important. ما بدنا نحن to make assumptions. But yeah, one of the
على شيء serious والشخص الثاني لا يكون في different expectations.
هون بيصير في incongruence, mismatch, and كل واحد ماشي على different trajectory, and they don't
أنا
meet.
أسئلة
Okay.
أنا أسئلة
Yeah.
okay. I'm afraid when I go on a date to be disappointed with the person I'll meet. So I tend not to meet people through dating apps. Is this something that a concern that your patients talk about, or the young generation, or even people who are on these dating apps, do they share kind of feed?
So مثل ما ذكرنا earlier, Sandra, إنه talking to people through a screen, through an app, is a form of protection and safety and comfort zone. لما we transfer that to in person, طبيعي إنه يطلع level of anxiety تبعنا، لأنه عم نحس حالنا exposed، عم نحس حالنا ما فينا نهرب، إنه إذا حطينا بموقف حدا سألنا سؤال انحرجنا فيه، we can't just exit the app or block the person. We're there, right? So there's an element to it that's more real, that makes us feel rather nervous. So أولاً بدي الشخص اللي who asked the question to know إنه those feelings are quite normal. And secondly, for them to really think about what it is that they want. If they're wanting to connect with people, part of connecting with people means taking that step. Taking that next step of seeing them in person، لأنه حيكون لصالح هيدا الشخص يتعرف على person face to face، لأنه face to face عم نحصل على more information. Sandra، أنا face to face if I'm on a date with someone بقدر راقب كيف that person عم يتعامل مع الويتر for example. بقدر شوف طب إذا أنا معه دايما على تليفونه 24/7 ولا قادر يعطيني تركيز ويحترمني ويكون معي بالوقت الحاضر. So there are all of these which we could call tiny things, but very informative things that tell me more about who this person is. بينما ورا الشاشة I can't gather that information.
ما بتنصحي انه دغري ننقل على الان بيرسون، ولا انه الواحد يتاكد، يمكن يسال اسئله اكثر، يتعرف على الشخص اكثر قبل ما نوصل put myself out there و get disappointed؟
أكيد مثل ما قلتي ساندرا، when a person feels ready. هلا that readiness is subjective. أنا لإلي يمكن أقول لك من بعد أسبوع of talking to someone I feel ready to meet that person. حدا تاني ممكن يقول لك no أنا بدي شوي وقت أكتر. That's fine. I think two people have to come to that agreement. بس كمان we don't want to avoid it altogether، لأنه هون صار في شيء اسمه مثل situationship. So كان التايتل تبع اليوم ghosting, situationship and dating hassles. Situationship بيعني لما يكون في نوع من العلاقة بس ما حطينا ليبل عليها. So إذا أنا وياكي we're talking online صار لنا شهر ونص and we didn't move this further, well, one of us or both of us might feel like we're hanging. And what is this relationship? Is it a friendship? Is it more? Where do we take it? So it's helpful to kind of get an idea of where a person is at in a relationship. Otherwise, it just creates more confusion and كمان feelings of despair. الواحد بيحس helpless إنه أوكي أنا معلقة بهالعلاقة بس مش عارفة شو هي هالعلاقة، ما بعرف إذا في أحكي مع another person ولا أنا يعتبر أنا مرتبطة ولا لا. So I think at some point it's important for us to be open, honest and transparent. ولما نحن نحس ready ناخدها to a next level and see the person in a public space كمان، لأنه we want to be safe. مثل ما كنا عم نقول earlier, catfishing, you never really know who's behind the screen. So I would often suggest for people, if they've met online or if they have any doubts at all, دايما يكون أول لقاء in a place that's public with other people. حتى كمان if you want to have a friend that tags along in the same area. I know some people have done that. I've done that before, where I went on a date and I asked my friend to be in the other coffee shop just in case. So, things like that كمان بيحسسنا شوي هيك برياحة أكتر.
طب كمان عنا بنسمع كتير إنه okay, we met online, there's a connection, things هيك are flowy, we feel إنه we're connected to this person at different levels. أكتر شيء let's say the mental, and then we meet this person and we're disappointed with how they look and we're stuck لأنه we can't take it further because they don't look like إنه في ما عاد في physical attraction بس بذات الوقت كان في connection mental and then we feel guilty إنه we have to take it forward لأنه نحن فرجينا إنه نحن محمسين وبدنا نكفي we really إنه في شيء to explore and then بنستحي يمكن نجي نقول إنه أوكي بس there's a red alert لأنه physically we don't match. How do we deal with this kind of challenge?
Yeah, you know, it's very important, Sandra, نحن نكون صريحين مع حالنا. For a lot of people in that situation, they would often try to give it a chance مثل ما قلت لأنه فيها emotional bond و connection بنقول طيب خلينا نجرب. And great, you know, let them try. إذا من بعد فترة they still weren't able to see this person in that way, you know, with the physical attraction not being present, or chemistry, or spark, or whatever you want to call it, then it's time to maybe say, I don't think this is right for me. Again, it depends on what a person is looking for, Sandra. في عالم actually بتقدر تتخطى هيدا الشيء وبيقولوا no, I found the emotional connection هيدا لإلي priority أكتر so بيهمني كفي بالعلاقة. في غير عالم it's important to have both equally. في غير عالم بيهمهم الفيزيكال اتراكشن يكون 100% موجود والا they don't give it a try. So I would say get to know yourself and what matters. If that initial spark wasn't there, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to automatically cut ties with that person. ترجع للشخص. إذا أنتم مرتاحين وحاسين في values في اشياء qualities that are pulling you, keep going لأنه كمان هول الاشياء بيقدروا to be present later. يعني برجع على old ways, you know, arranged marriages وكل هالأخبار. You know, those things we realize كمان physical attraction or chemistry can be built over. It doesn't have to be instantaneous. It doesn't have to be rainbows and butterflies. This is the facade, I think, of sometimes the internet or the TVs or social media. هيدي اللي بتخلق لنا الفكرة إنه oh my God, I'm so taken by. Right, you know, it doesn't have to be that you're swept off of your feet from that first time. You might find yourself being swept off of your feet later on when you build a stronger connection. You might find other things in this person more attractive. So, you know, I think to each their own, but it doesn't have to automatically be a no-no if the sparks weren't there from the first time. في اشياء تانية that are no-nos, you know, big no-nos are if a person constantly cancels on you, doesn't reply to your messages, doesn't want to define the relationship. يعني ضلينا هيدا situationship. هون those are red flags which might tell us يمكن صار وقت إنه نحن to move on.
Okay. عندي كتير comments وأسئلة. So how can I meet someone to potentially date if I don't like social media and online dating?
Great question. So you don't have to do the online dating. You don't have to do the, you know, stuff that we were talking about. برجع على البوينت اللي كنت عم بحكي عنه, which is get out there and engage in activities that you enjoy. كل ما نحن عم ننمي حالنا كindividuals وعم نعمل اشياء نحن بنحبها, كل ما هون عم نفتح مجال نحن نتعرف على like-minded people. You know, it turns out, Sandra, إنه it's not opposites attract, by the way. It's more إنه نحن we are pulled closer to people similar to us. This is not to say إنه opposites don't attract, بس نحن كمان بننجذب للأشياء اللي بتشبهنا أكتر. So that's one thing I would recommend to the person, to do things that develops them, makes them feel happy, that creates more opportunity. Put yourself out there, introduce yourself to other people. Be clear about your intentions. You know, if somebody asks, you know, are you looking for someone? Are you dating? Oh no, I'm single right now. بس إيه بيهمني أتعرف على شخص. I'm looking to date casually. I'm looking to meet someone hopefully as a lifelong partner. Be clear again about what it is that you're setting out your intentions for. لأنه منه عيب, منه شيء غلط. Sometimes نحن بنستحي إنه oh we're saying too much, but it's absolutely normal. You know, بالنهاية نحن social creatures. Like I said, doing more of what we like increases the likelihood for us to connect with people who like similar things. هيدا مش guarantee إنه حنلاقي شخص أكيد, بس it's just the pool becomes more suitable for us. كمان we need to be a little bit less strict on our pickiness. نحن sometimes بنحط very specific criteria. This person must be this tall, this ما بعرف شو. I was watching Indian matchmaking on Netflix, and تفاجأت actually إنه الهايت was a big thing بهذا الكالتشر. هلا maybe it is عنا، بس أنا ولا مرة كتير فكرت بالهايت personally، بس it was something that دايما كانوا عم يذكروا للإنديان matchmaking lady إنه لازم my partner يكون this height or this height. And so what I mean is be less picky on some of the things that you're looking for and really prioritize what it is that you want, in a potential partner. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for failure and never like anything you're going to see. And meet people in person, يعني مثل ما قلت حتى لو الconnection بلشت online for whoever, it is important eventually to have that in-person face-to-face contact. كمان نحن we need to channel our negative emotions and anxieties. يعني كتير أمرار بسمع ساندرا من عالم who might be single. Oh, all men are lazy. All men just want to be with the person and they only care about the physical appearance, or they just want to get physically intimate. هيدي نحن بنسميها discrimination or sexism. We are putting that person in one category. عم نعمل stereotype. It's not true that all men are whatever it is or all women are whatever it is. So I think we also need to look at our biases. شو الاشياء اللي نحن بنقولها باللاوعي تبعنا أو تطلع معنا when we're observing others that are affecting us.
All right. I personally feel that Bumble, for example, is intimidating to use because the girl is the one who initiates the conversation. So I prefer it over Tinder. And when I finally end up writing, either the person doesn't reply or doesn't really give and take, I already have difficulty starting a conversation.
Yeah, that's really a tough situation to be in, because I can see that that person is obviously trying to be vulnerable, trying to open up and is stepping outside of their comfort zone. وعم بيكون في هال lack of interaction, which to us we will obviously perceive as a rejection. So again, I would, gently draw the attention to this person that these things happen. Being online, exposing ourselves to the dating world means إنه حيكون في situations where we might feel like the other person is not responding, and it's not about us, it's about them. They might be having too much on their plate. They might be talking to several people all at once. They might be there because they're interested in a hookup and a whatever it might be. So again, I think it's important إنه نحن نكون ready إذا بنحط حالنا على هول الابس. Yes, في هالprobability إنه يكون في rejections.
كتير حبيت اللي عم تشددي عليه نيكول. It's not about us. It's so important to remember. يعني إن كان بالghosting إن كان بالهيدا to really هيك isolate. نرجع نفكر بالناريتيف. كمان عنا comments. I barely find people who I might find interesting to date. Is it okay if I don't often feel attracted to most people while other people my age are really engaged on the dating scene?
I'm going to start with a simple answer to say it's okay. People are different. We don't have to compare ourselves to where other people are in their lives. That's what sets us up to have lower self-esteem. إذا أنا دايما رح أقول هيدا الشخص عم بيعمل هيك، ليه أنا ما عم بعمل هيك، يعني في شيء غلط فيي. You might have different priorities. You might have different interests. كمان sexual attraction, physical attraction comes on a spectrum, right? So there's no right or wrong. كمان بدنا نذكر إنه في some people who are asexual, meaning that ما بيهمهم هال physical intimacy أو ما عندهم هال desire as much as other people. To them having a close emotional relationship is important. So whatever the person's circumstances, I think are acceptable إذا that person راضي على حاله. إذا راضي على being single and so on. بالزمانات ساندرا كان الtrajectory of life of we are born, we go to school, نتخرج, we find someone, we get married, we have a child. خلصت القصة. That's really not the story anymore, and it's changed. كمان for a lot of us نحن we grew up looking at a heteronormative society of man, woman, etc. That's changed nowadays, right? And so again, there's
redefining monogamy and being with one person. There's so many definitions that are changing. So مثل ما قلتي, it's not linear anymore and it's changing, and it's very, what you're saying is very important, إنه الشخص يرجع لحاله هو يعني قناعاته وهو حاجاته.
Absolutely.
That's
You don't have to be in a relationship to be happy and fulfilled in your life. Let us be clear about that. There are many people who are single, who are very comfortable with their lifestyle and very content with where they are. Maybe they want to be in a relationship, maybe they don't, and that's fine. هيدي القصة إنه you have to be with someone as an ending is what's changing. And yeah, like you said, I like the word linear. Things are not linear.
okay. I have read somewhere that the butterflies or sparks thingy are more red flags than anything else. Do you agree?
No, not necessarily right off the bat. It's a red flag. بالعكس, I think anything that we feel in our body is data. That's the way I like to see it. It's data. It tells me I'm drawn to this person. Why am I drawn to this person? What is it about their physical appearance that I like, بالعكس أنا بستخدم هيدا الشيء كinformation لأفهم حالي أكتر. Again, in a romantic relationship, it is very helpful to have this aspect, because being in a romantic relationship, شو بيميز romantic relationship عن friendship? هي physical component, there's a really neat triangle that I've often referred to, Sandra. بدي ارسمها هون بس لفرجيكي اياها.
فرجينا. في حدا عامل لي comment I'm taking notes.
يلا بلشنا الدرس.
in your sessions. ناخد notes. Yeah, we all take notes just for the person who's commenting.
Okay, so mind my handwriting. بس بهيدي التراينجل في 3 اشياء اساسيات. في intimacy، في passion، وفي commitment. إذا نحن بس عنا intimacy هون، intimacy in this diagram بيعني emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy لوحده بيعتبر friendship. Passion alone أو sparks أو chemistry لوحده we can consider it as infatuation أو lust. So sometimes you can think of it as your one night stand, there's no أخذ وعطا, I don't know this person, وما في commitment, but there is the passion. It could be defined there. Commitment لحاله بلا هول الاشياء is what we call empty love, او هي فيها تكون مثل arranged marriages. بتبلش انه نحن اوكي ما بنعرف بعض بس رح نتجوز بعض. Exactly. But هول ال other two areas, الانتمسي والpassion, ممكن يخلقوا مع الوقت. هيدا ما بيعني انه they can't. But the reason I'm showing you this is because intimacy alone is friendship. حكينا عن كل هول alone, بس intimacy مع passion, when intimacy with passion is what we call romantic love. So I can exchange things with you and I feel physically attracted to you. صار في romance, والرومانس مش بالضرورة يكون في commitment. يعني some people have been in 2-year relationships, 1-year relationships without that resulting in marriage per se, for whatever reason, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't romance and love موجود بهالrelationship. So that's another way that I like to think of, just the complexities of relationships.
It's a very nice concept. نفكر فيها كمان وقت نكون in a dating or in a relationship. نحن وين من هالتراينجل أو what are the components يلي موجودين اليوم. يعني حكيتي عن situationship. نفكر إنه is there a direction, is there commitment, do we have the passion, do we have the intimacy, enough intimacy. مرات كتير الباشن قوية بس ما في intimacy component, ما في commitment component, so بنحس إنه هيك it's not going anywhere. So these are nice questions to ask ourselves, هيك to situate ourselves in the triangle.
Sandra, do you want us to maybe ballpark the conversation هون وننقل على الrooms since في more questions? I don't have much more content per se إنه أنا بدي أحكي عنه, بس إذا في أسئلة فينا ننقل.
رح ناخد بعد سؤال ويمكن we're gonna take two questions. بيهمنا بعد سؤال من اليوزر وهيك قبل ما نوقف الريكوردينج وننقل على الروم بيهمنا كمان هيك your tips. حكيتي انه عندك tips. هيدا we want people to be able to replay the recording or see it later and find the tips and then we can move to continue with more questions and people sharing their experience. بيهمنا نسمع من الناس يلي عباله to share whether written or on camera مثل ما الناس ترتاح يشاركونا هيك their experiences ونحكي معك شوي أكتر عن challenges. So رح ناخد سؤال من الناس وترجعي تحكينا عن tips and then we move to the room. So عندك comment, two comments. عندك personally if I'm super comfortable from the first date I feel or kind of know that it's not going anywhere I would be super laid back. So عنا هالدايلاما إنه إذا it's not going anywhere نرتاح وهيك we let go and we're laid back and there's no anxiety and we can take things شوي هيك easy. Whereas if we feel there's no, we're not comfortable there is something and it's going somewhere we might feel anxious. So how do we deal with that?
Yeah, so it's very normal for us to feel more laid back لما نحس إنه الشخص اللي قدامنا is gonna be more in the friend zone. بينما when we think of, oh, this person is not gonna be in the friend zone, could be again someone that I date for a while or see myself with for the long term. نحن منبلش نحس nervous لأنه صار نحن عم نحط our criteria or we're projecting and thinking about the future and what if with scenarios and so on. So هيدا الشيء أكيد حيلعب بأعصابنا and make us feel a little bit nervous. ومثل ما قلت nerves, Sandra, is very normal. You know, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. We don't want to label any of it, but I want people to understand إنه هيدا الشعور كتير طبيعي خصوصاً ببداية العلاقة وما بيعني إنه مع الوقت ما حيخف لأنه usually منلاقي إنه as we get to know the person هيدول الانكزايتيز ممكن يخفوا لما نحن نكون على طبيعتنا والشخص الثاني كمان يكون على طبيعتهم.
كمان عندي comment. The issue that I personally face is if I want to be in a relationship or not, I don't really know. I reached a conclusion that I might be asexual. Plus, these past few years, life happened and I don't feel that I'm in the best of state of mind right now. So كيف الواحد كمان بيعرف يعني حكيتي بسرعة هيك قبل ما ناخد آخر شيء التبس منك نيكول كيف الواحد بيعرف إنه do I really want a relationship or I want to be single and حكيتي عن هالتراينجل if I'm single am I losing all this يعني will I never experience this kind of intimacy passion and this kind of aliveness if I'm single.
So I don't like to think in ultimatums, never say never type of thing. It might be situational. It might be that this is how you're feeling right now for where you are in your stage of life. كمان هيدا الشيء it could be fine. What I would encourage this person to do or for anyone مش عارف حاله إذا بده علاقة أو لا هو يعمل list okay of reasons ليه هن بدهم يكونوا بعلاقة reasons ما بدهم يكونوا بعلاقة. So to do this هيك comparative list can help you to understand your inner mind a little bit better, what it is that you want or not, and what you would expect in a partner. What is it that you're seeking in a partner? كلنا عنا emotional needs that are unmet, Sandra. It's normal إنه نحن يكون عنا كرايتيريا معينة نحن عم ننبش عليها ببارتنر. إن كان مثلا منفضل شخص يكون شخص كريم, شخص attentive to what we have to say, you know, good listener, a good communicator, whatever it might be. I think كمان helpful this person to put down what it is that they might be seeking in a partner. ومثل ما قلت to compare what are the reasons to be in a relationship, what are the reasons not to be in a relationship. وإذا this person reached the conclusion إنه هلا منن بحاجة أو ما بدهم يكونوا برelation, that's okay.
All right, let's take منك dating tips and then we can move to the room هيك the safe space and we can continue our discussion with our audience.
Sure. So One thing I'm going to start with, لأنه I think as we were talking شوي ذكرنا كذا tip، بس هلأ تذكرت إنه ما حكيت عن هيدي النقطة اللي هي our gut instinct. كثير مهم ساندرا إنه نحن to listen to our gut instinct. If you're out with someone or you're talking to someone on messages, whatever it is, وحسيتوا إنه في شيء ما نكون مرتاحين له. You don't know what it is, ما قادرين to put your finger on it, but you just feel that something is off. It's important إنه الواحد يسمع to their gut instinct or intuition، لأنه أكترية الوقت studies have shown إنه listening to our gut instinct helps us, it protects us, and is actually a warning sign of something bigger to come. So that's something I want to encourage people to do, is listen to their gut instinct, listen to your bodies, don't dismiss those feelings. ثانياً, see things for what they are. Sometimes نحن بنعمل excuses a person's behavior. اوكي ما رد علي هالمرة لأنه كان عنده شيء مع أمه. اوكي هالمرة تأخر لأنه كان علقان بعجقة. هالمرة we come up with all of these excuses to justify a person's behavior, but sometimes it's obvious that there is an issue. So يلي بدي أقوله هو put your rose-colored glasses, aside and see things for what they are. If there are red flags, look at those red flags, examine them, do not dismiss them, and protect yourselves. لأنه بالنهاية, the way we want to think of it is any type of dating experience نحن عم نحط حالنا بposition إنه في risk to get hurt, في risk to experience pain and disappointment and sadness, but better to experience it earlier on than later on. So I want people to really be honest with themselves when they're venturing into the dating world. مش كل مرة حيكون في هال ideal match. And just because, someone was talking about being single and not knowing if they want to date, if you're tired of being single, هيدا ما بيعني automatically إنه you're ready to date. That it doesn't work that way. It's okay to be tired of being single without having to jump into dating. So I hope that's clear. كمان يعني مثل ما حكينا نحن بدنا to be realistic about what it is that our criteria is about. في اشياء نحن لازم نستغني عنها. That's the way life goes. It's compromises. ما حنلاقي the perfect person to tick all the boxes. The more نحن we stick to هالكرايتيريا, the more نحن عم نكون عم نأذي حالنا. لأنه again, we're going to just continue swiping. We're going to continue saying no to all the proposals that come towards us. So perhaps be less picky. Examine your belief system, your biases. كلنا نحن عنا نوع من الbiases. Examine your own emotional wounds. كمان كلنا نحن عنا نوع من emotional wounds من our experiences السابقة أو حتى من طفولتنا. يمكن نحن ربينا بenvironment شفنا إنه كان في عنف بين الرجل والمرأة، وهلأ صار عنا نوع من التردد إنه نكون بعلاقة لأنه منخاف هيدا الشيء to play out again. So yeah, absolutely. So examine your fears, your wounds, address them, talk about them, consider therapy. كل هالأمور كتير مهمة. So ليش أنا عم بركز كتير ساندرا على the self? Because that's all we have control over. I don't have control over the person قدامي and their life story. بس أنا مسؤولة عن حالي. أنا مسؤولة عن حالي، وهيدا واجبي اتجاه حالي إنه اعتني بنفسي. And to be kind to myself. كمان last thing I want to mention is في أشخاص they have this belief إنه أنا لازم أكون free from all of my wounds and traumas لبلش dating. That's not the case. You don't have to be your perfect potential version of yourself to start dating. هول الأشياء نحن بنقدر نشتغل عليهم simultaneously. نقدر نحن to be putting ourselves out there in the dating world بنفس الوقت عم نعتني بحالنا and working on self-growth and development. So هول كانوا my last tips. So I look forward to chatting some more about this بالrooms. ما عم بسمعك.
Sorry. Thank you so much. The tips were really, really helpful, very insightful. And I hope we can continue the conversation. بعد عنا نص ساعة. We'd like to hear anonymously or not من الaudience تبعنا. We invite our audience to go to the room. So on your app, أنا رح فرجي بس I'll just share my screen just to show how they can navigate للي ما بيعرف أول مرة. So on the app أنتوا هلأ بالround table. So you're here on this first picture. You have to press the arrow تنرجع تصيروا بالمنيو تقدروا تقشعوا المين menu تبع الاب. You will see main round table one-on-one rooms. Okay, so you have to press on rooms and then you will find a room يلي اسمها مثل ما سمينا السيشن تبعنا. So ghosting, situationships and other dating hassles. You will find a room that's live. Press on the room. We can't see you or hear you unless you want to talk. You have to raise your hand and then you can talk in the room. You don't have to put on the camera. فيكم بس تحكوا microphone. You can ask us your questions. You can ask questions anonymously كمان through chat. It's the same like here. بس الفارق إنه هونيك ما بنسجل. It's very intimate and we can talk about cases with Dr. Nicole ونقدر نسألها أكتر advice ونكفي our conversation. Doctor, a big thank you. It was very refreshing. Very هيك بتعطي hope. لأنه despite the challenges of today's dating scene, there are benefits and we're all looking for connection. So yes, connection is possible. We just have to go back to us and our needs and we go from there. مثل ما قلت يعني حبيت كتير كيف خلصتي إنه we can't control the other بس at least نعرف حالنا نعرف شو بدنا. This is a very good start. Let's move together to the room. I'll stop the recording and we continue our discussion.
Sure.